What's good? It's Woog. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I just caught the Grammy nominations announcements, and I kind of like how they did it. They had like a Jon Batiste, they had H.E.R, they had different people who might or might not have been nominated elsewhere, just announcing some of the nominees for some of the categories. And we'll get into the different nominations and get into the different categories in subsequent videos, but I just wanted to give like an initial response or reaction to some of these nominees in a few of the categories, a couple of the major categories as well, and just kind of discuss or at least name a few of the artists who I was kind of hoping to see who I did not in fact see, or even some of the artists who I was surprised not to see, like Lana Del Rey. Unless I missed something, I think she got shut out. Now, Blue Bannister's, her latest release, I think was released after the deadline for you to qualify for this Grammy Awards, but that first Chemtrails Over the Country Club album from earlier this year, I thought that maybe we would see that one nominated here. Now, one of the funnest categories are Best Alternative Music Album, and that's because alternative music tends to include a lot. Like, it kind of includes, you know, indie rock, dream pop, even punk, alternative rock, obviously, progressive rock, shoegaze, basically any of these rock variations or like electronic style rock. They are all under like the umbrella of alternative music. So that's usually one of the funner ones where you can see kind of like the cool artists who aren't necessarily like the household names, not like the biggest names in the game. And so that's where you could kind of see them getting in where they fit in. So in that particular category, I didn't love that I saw Halsey nominated for Best Alternative Music Album. Now, you have certain artists like Beck. He was, you know, he used to get nominated there a lot, like White Stripes, U2, Radiohead, but those still kind of fall under the categories of alternative rock by the 90s standards of alternative rock. Halsey, I would have thought that she is too pop or popular, because if you look at how they define alternative music, according to the Grammys themselves, it's supposed to be non-popular rock. And I kind of understand Halsey to be about as popular as, you know, as rock gets. Like, I've seen her perform on Saturday Night Live, for instance. Well, I've also seen Phoebe Bridgers, but I guess you could consider Phoebe Bridgers to still be alternative music because she isn't as famous as Halsey, for instance. But when you occupy one of the slots with like such a big name like Halsey, I'm like, damn, there could have been a lot of other interesting artists that could have filled one of those slots, like Black Midi. I thought Black Midi might pop up in the alternative section. Amyl and the Sniffers, kind of a punk band. I thought that we might see them. H.E.R out of Japan. You familiar with H.E.R? I thought that we might see H.E.R nominated here. Spirit of the Beehive, maybe Wolf Alice. There are a lot of interesting artists with interesting albums that came out this year that we did not see on this list of nominees. But, you know, they did have some good selections here, I thought. It's been a big year for Japanese breakfast. Like, you know, her story has emerged and she's kind of become a popular indie artist. I also like to see Arlo Parks. I thought Arlo Parks had a pretty good album this year. And it's not too often that you get black artists in the indie or alternative music categories. St. Vincent expectedly appeared in this category this year. I think she's had a few nominations now for Best Alternative Music Album. I'd have to go back and check to see whether she's been nominated here 2 or maybe even 3 times now, but she's kind of a regular in this category. One of my favorite bands, Fleet Foxes, was nominated this year in Best Alternative Music for that album H.E.R. Now, H.E.R is not my favorite Fleet Foxes album, but I thought it was pretty good, and it had been a few years since they had released that Crack Up album, their 3rd album. So with this 4th H.E.R album, it was kind of cool to see them appear. Although, again, Fleet Foxes has kind of grown into one of the bigger names in indie. Not to say that they've crossed over into regular rock necessarily, but, you know, that slot, I feel it could have been occupied by a fresher artist who is making more interesting music today. No knock on that H.E.R album by Fleet Foxes. Again, I was pretty happy to see them appear here. Now, Best rap album. That one kind of bothered me just a little bit because I did not see Little Simz. I thought Little Simz might have dropped the best rap album of 2021. But, you know, instead we got some of the usual suspects. We got Drake, we got Kanye, we got Nas for the second consecutive time. Now, here's somebody who's been snubbed for like 80% of his career, finally won Best Rap Album with King's Disease last year, and is now nominated again for King's Disease 2, which I think might have even been a better album than the original King's Disease. So Nas, 2 years in a row, and he won it last year, so he's got a chance to win this thing twice in a row. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, Tyler the Creator's latest album appeared here. I thought that album was so good, it should have probably qualified for like the best album major category. I thought it was that good. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed to not see Little Simz nominated for best rap album. I thought that it could have perhaps taken the slot of J. Cole's Off Season. Now, I like Off Season, and it has some really good songs on it. J. Cole's lyricism is always top notch. I thought that the songs were pretty good. But if you take a listen to the Little Simz album, I thought that not only should it have been nominated for best rap album, but I thought that it should have even gotten a nod or a nomination for the major category, best album of the year. Basically, Little Simz album was that good. I thought that it was clever of Taylor Swift, who was nominated for Evermore in the best album of the year category. I thought that it was clever that, you know, she released that Evermore follow-up to Folklore at the end of 2020, so technically it qualifies for this 2021 Grammys, basically. So she beat the deadline by not putting it out until after the earliest point that you could release an album for it to qualify here. So Taylor Swift was nominated for Folklore last year. She's nominated again this year for Evermore. Two albums that were technically released in the same calendar year. So I thought that was pretty smart of Team Taylor. I really wanted to see Sufjan Stevens and De Augustine's collab project to be nominated in either the best alternative category. I thought it was one of my favorite albums of the year in any genre. Sufjan Stevens' latest album, I thought that was very good. Not the solo one, Ascension, that he released just over a year ago, but the one that he released a couple months ago. Super pleasant and delightful, dream pop-ish, indie folkish type of album. But yeah, there's no sign of Sufjan Stevens nominated here. I wanted to see Spelling with 3 L's, the artist Spelling, in either best progressive R&B album or best alternative music album. I thought it would have been cool if Spelling got a nomination here. I get that she's not one of the bigger names or anything like that, but if you listen to what she did on this last album, I thought it was pretty damn creative and good. Speaking of which, I really like the inclusion of this new category, best progressive R&B album, because it used to just be best R&B, and there's so many different variations of R&B that I think that having this distinction, best progressive R&B category, it kind of creates a lane for a lot of those kind of fusion artists, where it's like a fusion of R&B, jazz, some alternative rock music, just different things that are R&B-ish but R&B adjacent, like Terrace Martin, Robert Glasper, and Kamasi Washington and Ninth Wonder's collab project was nominated here this year, as was Hiatus Coyote, who kind of have like a Little Dragon type of sound. I know Free Nationals, I believe, were nominated last year. One of my homies is actually the bassist in Free Nationals, Kelsey Gonzalez. What up, Kelsey? But yeah, I like the inclusion of this new category. I was also very excited to see Doja Cat, who I had met several years ago when I was running warehouses out of South LA, and we were hosting a promotion called Ham on Everything. So, you know, on any given late night, this is in South LA around Manchester and Broadway, everybody from like Post Malone would roll through. This is right when Post Malone had that White Iverson album. Certain weekends, I don't think this was a Ham on Everything production, but we had 21 Savage come through. Wiz Khalifa came through to shout out the one of the two guys who founded Ham on Everything. Shout out Adam to his birthday, or for his birthday. But Doja Cat was a regular up in the spot. She performed a few times, and so yeah, just mad cool and up and coming artist. So to now see her elevated to the stage where she is Grammy nominated in multiple major categories, I'm pretty blown away. But yeah, those are just a few of my early thoughts on the nominations here. You know, I was kind of surprised to see like Justin Bieber, Tony Bennett, and Lady Gaga's collab duets album. This is their second duets album, by the way. But Tony Bennett, I believe, announced his retirement, and I think this duet album with Lady Gaga will be Tony Bennett's final music project. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But, you know, having Justin Bieber as a best or album of the year nominee, it kind of makes me like, to what degree are like critical reviews going to be factored in versus who the biggest names in the game are? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Justin Bieber's Justice album wasn't really heralded in the music community as being some, you know, masterpiece, right? But here we have him nominated for Album of the Year. And this is no shade towards Justin Bieber. I was just wondering, like, how much of this has to do with just sheer popularity versus what is widely regarded as the best musical works of 2021. But yeah, let me know what you thought of these nominees in the comments. Please like the video. And again, we're going to do subsequent videos to address individual categories here. And, you know, we'll dive a lot into the history of the Grammys and the significance of some of these nominations. But yeah, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.